Touch the leg and welcome to In Conversation with Tibet TV. In today's episode, we have two participants from the recently concluded International Tibet Youth Forum organized by the Department of Information and International Relations of Central Tibetan Administration from 18 to 20 June last week. The two participants are Damian Sirso from United Kingdom and Tenzin Dollar from the United States of America. They are here with us in our studio today. Welcome to our program.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so to start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what do you do?
My name's Damian. I come from London. I'm a conference producer in London. And I also am involved a little bit with some of the Tibetan activities. Some of the things that we're currently trying to do is get the Tibetan youth together, right? So just organizing, events centered around that. Yeah, and that's me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tenzin Dollar from Portland, Oregon. I go to Stanford University studying symbolic system, and I grew up in Gyara, Belgupi till 7th grade and then immigrated to Portland.
Okay, and can you tell us a little bit more about what brings you to participate in this forum, and what were your expectations from the forum? Dollar.
So I've been a little bit here and there part of Tibetan Student Union at Stanford and SFT, Machik, Portland Tibetan Association, but I don't think I get to meet many Tibetans, especially I was the only Tibetan in high school. So I wanted to come together in Dharamshala and meet many Tibetan activists. Prominent activists you barely get to meet, and so I was expecting to connect and network to further work through our Tibetan cause together.
Okay, what about you, Damian?
Yeah, likewise. I was expecting to meet a lot of people that were, very much involved in advocacy, who were involved in the various kind of organizations, have different kind of missions and so on. Get a lot of their kind of like insights into what can be kind of done today, their kind of like narratives, I guess we could push as well. But also, obviously, to learn a little bit more about the VTAG initiative, right? What the kind of like hopes and expectations were around that, and what obviously we could do together, right? So I had these conversations and shared ideas of what could be done, and yeah, that's pretty much the rough kind of summary of the expectations from my side.
Okay, and the forum was like within these 3 days from 18 to 20. You have like a lot of talks from the prominent Tibetan in the fields of advocacy and history, and you have also had the testimony from a former political prisoner, Pinzon Yudunla, and also from Geshe Ladola. So with all this, and also a lot of interactions and question for them as well. So what was your impression from the overall from the forum, and how was the experience?
Yeah, the speaker lineup was actually quite good. There was a lot of interesting kind of like insights shared as well, which filled out like our expectation, I guess, with regard to that. The overall experience, yeah, was great. Got to ask quite a lot of questions as well. Especially like the talk from Michael van Walt. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I think he highlighted the importance of the correct use of advocacy language, right? Which is not something I was like, particularly aware of, and I think others would agree as well, right? And I think that it is a very important kind of topic to talk about, and something that's worth bringing to attention to others, which is something I'll talk about in the UK as well. And also the importance of Punsuk Nujunla's, her kind of like experience, right? The fact that it was shared, I think that's, it's very important when it comes to getting that kind of, sense of responsibility back, right? And getting that fire back, right? For doing all these like advocacy works and any other forms of kind of like supports. Not just for the Tibetans, obviously, and diasporas, but also for the Tibetans in Tibet, right? But yeah, in summary, yeah, the talks were great. The roundtable discussions were really good as well. Panel discussions were also really good, getting insights from everyone and so on. The kind of like overall, diversity of the speakers and also the participants as well, right, was excellent. Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Deola?
Yeah, I also found it very inspirational and motivating to have so many youths like with fire come in one place, and you see how much people have done like with their studies and with their work-life balance. And I think I learned how much I didn't know. Hearing from these experts, hearing from my peers who are like huge activists, I learned how much I need to read about the Tibetan issues, histories. That was eye-opening for me personally. And one prominent speaker that spoke out like to me was Chimilamo. Her speech about running for his presidency in Canada was empowering to know like a Tibetan person going for the political position and her struggles throughout her campaign. It was inspirational, and her work with Tibetan I've already known her through social media, but seeing her in person, hearing her story, empowering and made me want to do more and connect.
That's wonderful. So, on the first day of the forum, you were here, you visited the Central Tibetan Administration and the nearby institutions, Tibetan Library and the museum here in Kanki. So, what was your impression of the CTA and of the Tibetan freedom struggle from this forum, and what is the biggest takeaway? It's two questions put together, but yeah, what's the biggest takeaway from this conference?
Obviously, thank you very much for CTA for the provision of this conference. I think it's they have a very good focus right now on youth, which is something that I share. Right, the importance of this focus on the youth, and we were discussing this actually at the conference. The whole concept of bringing and training leadership and having conferences like this to share this expertise, have a platform for ideas. Idea sharing. So I think the focus right now is really good, the CT and Sikangla. And in terms of the Tibetan freedom struggle, obviously it was very kind of inspirational and good to see all these organizations, NGOs, CSOs, the CTA obviously coming in and having all these youths from all around the world, right, internationally, coming in. It was very, very inspirational. It was good to see. I think it provides a lot of hope for Tibetans all around the world. And I think that's a great thing, we hope to see more of this kind of stuff. We did say this at the conference as well. I think there's a lot of ideas that have been brewing in the conversations we've had during the conference, also outside of the conference. Right, that was great, and we hope obviously everybody kind of does their part and we'll support one another. That'll be good.
Yeah, Dola.
I think my biggest takeaway was how much more we have to do, how much we have done in the past through VTAG, which is still budding and growing, and also realize how much could be done as youth in our own area through lobbying and much more.
You're from UK, so I'd like to know how's the state of Tibet advocacy in your country, and how do you plan to expand it with the existing Tibet advocacy movement in UK and when you go back? As the question same goes to Togola, but Damian first.
Yeah, so the state of Tibet advocacy is actually quite strong. So the Office of Tibet naturally is reaching out to some youth. They're trying to kind of promote the VTAG initiative. But then you also have other organizations like SFT kind of working with that. And also I wanted to shout out my Georgini, who has a YouTube channel called Tibet Yak London. He's a very kind of an inspirational figure in the London community. He kind of stands aside of the Chinese embassy every Wednesday protesting. And he's one of the kind of key figures, I think, in terms of Tibet advocacy in London. But in terms of what we took away from the conference and what we plan to do now is we want to have more of an international collaboration with everybody that we've met so far. So we're planning to, share kind of like contact information, like what we're kind of currently working on, how we can kind of fill in gaps on a regional level and so on. Also planning to get more involved with kind of the UN. That's something kind of in discussion with Gloria, who was a speaker at the conference, right? as well as for us in the UK, there's a little bit of a lack of an understanding of the political system, right? And I think it's quite important, not just myself actually, but other kind of like UK youths who are also at the conference, right? We feel like it's very important for us to have a solid understanding so that we know who to reach out to, and who has the kind of like biggest influence, who kind of have the most influence in terms of advocating for Tibet, right? In terms of, you know, the political side of things. And finally, I wanted to kind of like highlight the Office of Tibet is planning to do a couple of campaigns with advocacy, with the Labour and the Conservative Party. I believe it's like some form of conferences, right? And it's an opportunity for youth in London to get more involved in this side of things. So it'd be advocating, you know, what's going on in Tibet, what kind of issues are present within Tibet and so on, right? Which kind of like align with what the politicians would be kind of currently focusing on in the UK. And naturally, Office of Tibet would love to get as many youth to come along, volunteer, very different kind of diverse gaps that they could fill in, you know, marketing or like content creation or just actual speaking engagement with the kind of leaders from these parties there as well. So yeah, these are the things that we hope to do, and I hope, you know, the Tibetan youth are going to be joining us on this journey. Tibetans in London, UK. Yeah.
So I think, same as they said, more youth involvement in the political movement. I know I've been a part of VTAG, and I think most people have been the adults who have been keeping the movement alive, and I think more cultural enrichment to youngsters. We already have, I know US has like pyoga in every state, and I think that is a huge part of instilling cultural beliefs and values in youngsters, and then when they grow up. And being a part of VTAG, we hope to work along with SFT Youth Congress, which is very active already, to bring more youth involvement into political work. So be it, I know there's already like Congress lobbying every single year that like Portland and California goes to. So we hope to expand that more, maybe make it more like, reach out to more senators in your state and local areas. That'd be impactful. Yeah, so from educating the youth through pyoga to making them be able to make political impact when they grow up through VTAG and those organizations, I think is our goal.
So these are my questions for today, and it's lovely having you guys here in our studio today and talking to you. I wish you all the best for you're going to do a lot of work, advocacy work in your country, and more power to the youth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching In Conversation with Tibet TV. See you all in the next episode.